Welcome back, and this is the second instalment with our adventures in the hire van in Australia. Now, the wardens in the Blue Mountains campsite had recommended the Greenmans on the river. They said the lane going down wasn't the best, but we'd be fine in our van, and our insurance did cover us for going off tarmac road for so many kilometres. So check this is something you're able to do if you consider going to this site. We'd highly recommend it. It's down a bumpy lane, but once you get there, it's absolutely worth it. A short distance from the Pacific Highway, and we were greeted by the Greenman Valley sign. Also there was the sign that tells you the risk of bushfire in the area, and thankfully for us, it was just moderate, but there was evidence that it had certainly been far worse than that in the past. Well, they weren't wrong. It was a bumpy road down, but nothing the van wasn't able to handle, and Stephen was comfortable driving it, and it was worth it. Look what greeted us, everybody. Welcome to the Hawkesbury River. So this is Greenman's Caravan Park in the Mount White region of New South Wales. Quite remote, very limited phone signal. We are picking up Wi-Fi at the campsite reception. Gorgeous little place. This one has cost us $70 a night. We're working on £1 to $2. We didn't get that exchange rate, but it's close enough, makes life easy. We were soon checked in and onto our pitch, which was a lovely grassy one. And it wasn't long before some of the other residents came over to see us. Hey everybody, so we're 3 days in on having the van in Australia, and there's so many pinch me moments, just like, yep, just got a peacock grazing on my pitch. And then there was a blackbird floating around that we asked the people next to us, like, what's that? This is a bush turkey. And we have another bird that pops up every now and then. He'll float around and land on the table. And the warden at this campsite has already warned us that there was campers here recently cooking their steaks on the barbecue, and the kookaburra came down and pinched it. So just beware of your food. Honestly, this trip is just surpassing us. It really reminds us of a campsite we used near Zurich, that we went down a forest road to the river, but he assures us we're in the bush here. Now, travelling days are always easy meal days for us, and unexpectedly we were allowed a campfire here, so noodles by the fire it was. How's camping in the bush going for you, darling?
Alright, but I could do with buying an axe tomorrow.
Are your logs too big in Australia?
They certainly are. I need to whittle them down a bit.
I'm not going to lie, I was worried before we left about what creepy crawlies there were, and Mr. M did put my mind at rest. Is there likely to be a snake or a spider tonight?
Maybe a crocodile out of that river.
We're taking the riverboat postman's boat up the river to deliver the post. It's a little trip that's been recommended by the campsite, and I know the local settlement next to the campsite is a place called Marlow that's not accessible by the road, only by boat. Misty start to the day, but we're told the weather's going to be improving and it should be sunny, which should be nice. Boat left from Brooklyn Pier, which was about a 20-minute drive from our campsite. We parked the van up and walked down to the pier to see lots of people already queuing for the boat. But we got our tickets, and this is the river boat post route. It starts at Brooklyn and it takes in all the islands up to Marlow Creek, dropping the post off on the way. Marlow Creek, if you remember, is the settlement next to our campsite, and then it works its way back down the river. We also had a welcome drink and lunch included in our ticket price.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome aboard, everybody.
Controlling the wheelbarrow and wheeling up the ass, so I just got the alcoholic and drop it.
There was running commentary throughout the journey with some little anecdotes thrown in, and you were able to go onto the outside of the boat as well and take a seat to enjoy the surrounding scenery. The lunch was good and we were able to get drinks from the bar easily. There was alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks available. Most of the other people on the boat were probably retirees and we really enjoyed this trip. It was something a little bit different, giving you a different view of Australia. Heading back into Brooklyn Pier, we spotted the outdoor pool on the river, which has bars on it apparently to stop the sharks getting in. Anyone for a dip? Heading back to the campsite for the afternoon, our task was to find the kookaburras. We'd still not seen one of these and we had to tick it off our list. First thing we heard though was the bush turkey. What a racket they make. As promised, the day had really brightened up and the locals come down here to fish. And it looks like they do quite well. Let's just hope they don't catch any of these crabs. One, 2, 3. I know there's a fourth one up there somewhere. 4. Well, our patience certainly paid off, and we even got a visit from a load of the peacocks. I think that was down to Stephen cooking outside though. People continued to arrive throughout the evening and, being honest, I wouldn't fancy towing down that lane, but the caravans here are nothing like you'd get back home in the UK. What we did learn this trip is campsites here know how to provide a decent camp kitchen for you to use. Also here we had a little swimming pool, there's the usual toilet facilities and there was a laundry as well. Our final morning and we saw a fishing trawler heading up the river being followed by pelicans. We'd not seen these yet, so that was our new bird to look out for. But down here there's plenty of other wildlife to admire. Have a look at these beauties. How colourful are these? Leaving here isn't as simple as packing up and going. The wardens had been to speak to us to arrange a time for any departing visitors to go up in convoy. Somebody goes on ahead with a walkie-talkie to close the lane off and radios down to say it's okay for everybody to work the way up the lane. It's a gravelly one, and if you stop in, then it's going to be a struggle to get going again. Another word of warning we were given here was it was bank holiday weekend and the police issued double demerits for anybody speeding. So they said to us, take care and make sure you know your speed limit. This little fellow was crossing the road in front of us and we hadn't a clue what he was until we met up with family later who told us he was an echidna. Whilst driving the highway, you'll see signposts for tourist routes, and this one is the Great North Road that was built by convicts back in the 1800s. Along the way, we stopped at the Laguna Trading Post for a mid-morning coffee. Well, when diesel's only 88p a litre, you're definitely going to choose the more scenic route, aren't you? The Great North Road was built to link Sydney to the Hunter Valley, and that's where we're heading for the weekend to attend a family wedding. But first we had a stop at Cessnock for some lunch and we took advantage of a ladies and tradies mealtime deal. The Hunter Valley is one of Australia's finest wine producing regions, and there's some world-renowned brands here too. So if you fancy a stop at one of the vineyards, there's plenty of opportunity to taste what they're producing. For the weekend, our van's going to be parked up as we're staying at Chateau Elan with some of the other wedding guests. Morning. Okay, so we're at the hotel, which is very swish. And we've got a balcony onto the grounds. This is a golf course. And just down there in that clearing, some kangaroos. Oh my God. Just through the trees there is our little apartment, or it's called a villa here, which looks on to the golf fairway. Loads of golfers out today, being Saturday. Hopefully they miss the kangaroos that are hiding under the trees from the sun. Gorgeous warm day here today, on the breezy side. That's a view from our little restaurant terrace. The Hunter Valley really has something for everybody. There's obviously the vineyards and golf in here, but there's also a gardens, there's a zoo, you can go horseback riding, and we found a local market offering handmade crafts and local produce for sale. The wedding was taking place on a vineyard in the area, and we were relieved our outfits survived the journey from the UK. And we got to see the kangaroos in the wild here. A family member was hand rearing a joey who'd survived in the pouch after its mother had been killed by a car. It was a noisy last night in a bar with the Rugby Premiership final on between Penrith Panthers and the Melbourne Storm. As our time in the Hunter Valley came to a close, we enjoyed breakfast, watching a couple of kangaroos bouncing around on the fairway. With everything packed back into the van, we were on the road again and heading north, looking for the next tourist drive to enjoy. So keep an eye out to see where we end up.